Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pigskin Preview. Alongside the head coach of the Western Illinois football team, Bob Nielsen, I'm Andrew Bacon. This past weekend, the Leathernecks were on a bye week after playing 9 games already this season. Coach, what has the team been up to the last week and a half?
Practicing. The bye week presents some unique opportunities, and we're trying to get a few guys back a little closer to healthy, and also a chance to kind of go back to basics, work on some fundamentals, and certainly get a jump start on preparation for South Dakota.
This season, the offense has made strides from last season. The Leathernecks have averaged 60 more yards per game than last season. The Pigskin Preview's Danny Fry took a closer look at the WIU offense with offensive coordinators Ted Schlafke and A.J. Blazik.
I think we probably started out at a grade that was probably barely passing, and as the season's gone on, I think that we've done a decent job of getting better every week. This last week didn't quite have the results that we were looking for, but probably the prior 4 to 5 weeks we showed a lot of improvement, and they started to click a little bit more. So we're nowhere near an A, but we're getting closer to where we want to be in those terms.
The biggest thing is our players right now. They are all in, and they've done a great job weathering some close emotional losses to come out and work to continue to get better. They really understand Coach Nielsen's big picture plan and what he's putting and building together here.
Sophomore quarterback Trenton Norvell has found his favorite target in wide receiver and fellow sophomore Lance Lenore. The duo have hooked up 56 times this season for 809 yards, a connection that powers the Leatherneck offense.
Yeah, those two have developed a really good rapport with each other. They trust each other a lot. Trent finds him whenever he can, and the big thing when your guy's looking at you is you got to make the plays, and he's been doing that the last handful of weeks, as he has been kind of that guy for us since he got on campus. But he's really stepped up here as of late.
On the ground, senior running back J.C. Baker understands how hard the Western offensive line works to be one of the best lines in the conference.
And he gets what we do up front. He understands the time that the big guys put in. So it's funny, because of the understanding he gets and time he spends with us, those players work their butt off for him pretty hard. They enjoy having him as a teammate. I'd put him up against anybody in the league as far as how physical they play, because they really try and hurt you when they play. And most of our guys aren't that nature. When you meet them, man, Ryan Ricketts, the nicest young man I ever met from Galesburg. Or Sean Sullivan is the politician. But when they put that helmet on, they like to go to work. And unfortunately, that didn't show up real well. We slowed down a little bit this past weekend, but right now they are setting a tempo in the league of how physical the offensive line is going to be here at Western.
Consistency is a key that the Leatherneck offense knows they need to work on during the bye week.
North Dakota State, we ran the ball for as many yards as they've given up in 5 years, and we didn't throw the ball great. So really as a team, and then offensively as well, being able to have all 11 guys kind of on the same page on a more consistent basis. It'll never happen every single play, but you want to minimize those times and minimize mistakes, and I think that's where we've done really well at some times and not as well others.
Offensively, WIU is young and has depth all over the board, which could lead to a bright future for the program.
Obviously, down the road, JC is going to be a guy that will be really hard to replace, but from that standpoint, we've got some young receivers, got guys coming up, and we've got all of our quarterbacks are sophomore or younger, so they all can get better, and hopefully it's a scary scene when they do that.
Guys are competing to get on the field, and there are a lot more guys are going to get a play over time because you earn that right. And so I think where you see it going long term is not just 11 to 14 guys playing a lot of football. You might see 20 guys that when they get their chance, which is only going to raise our level of play a little bit.
The Leatherneck coaching staff have set goals in place to finish the season strong.
Team-wise, the goal is we finish this thing 6-6. We bump up from what we did last year. We talk to the kids all the time about what are we doing to get better today? What are you doing to get better at your position or personally or in school? And that's the biggest thing. We got a big game against South Dakota here in 2 weeks. This week, we got to get better at what we do and worry about us and technique and assignments. And then we go right back into a game week, which I think our kids have done a great job preparing. For the most part, they're really locked in all week. And as coaches, we got to continue to carry our part and really pare things down and make it easy for them to be confident and play fast.
So far this season, Western has generated over 3,500 yards of total offense. For the Pigskin Preview, I'm Danny Fry.
Coach, how would you grade the offense so far?
We've improved. If you ask me for a letter grade, we're probably in the B minus range. I think the things that we've done well is we've moved the ball with greater consistency. Still struggle at times, and the biggest struggles have been when teams have been able to take away our run game and forced us to be one-dimensional, and also, we've got to be a better red zone touchdown team, and an area that and something that we've worked on here over the course of the bye week.
And then, so Coach, how have you seen some of those players step up then to help the offense improve since last season?
I think our younger players that played last year are certainly a year better. Starting first at the quarterback position with Trenton Norvell, and how much more consistently he's played. Our wide receiver group featuring Lance Lenore and Joey Borsellino, the two true freshmen that played last year, are playing like veteran players this year as opposed to playing like freshmen, which at times they did last year. And our running back core with J.C. Baker and giving a chance to get a few carries out of Kyle Hammonds and Devin Moore, who's had to step into more prominent roles. Continue to see some improvement in that group as well.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be back after a quick commercial break. You're watching the Pigskin Preview, your home for fighting leatherneck football. Welcome back to the Pigskin Preview. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, this season the Leathernecks defense is allowing 373 yards, down from last season's mark of just above 300 yards a game. Despite allowing more yards, though, Western Illinois is allowing fewer points per game than last season. I went ahead and talked to third-year defensive coordinator Brian Ward about how Western's defense has performed so far.
We've had our ups and downs. We're a situational defense, and we really gauge on how well we're playing based on the down and distance and being able to get off the field on third downs. And we've played really well on 1st and 10 and 2nd down this year. For the most part, we haven't given up, the big plays and the big scores. We gave up one big one against Illinois State, but other than that, we've kept teams in front of us and made them earn their points, so far this year. We're behind the pace in terms of interceptions, and takeaways, and that's probably the biggest disappointment in terms of overall, in terms of our season. But I think that also ties in, with the lack of consistency, in our depth chart. We've probably played a lot more people than we anticipated. In terms of, we've had some injuries, which is good and bad. Our bottom line defensively, we haven't played as well at times as we really expected us to. But the silver lining behind it is we planned on playing a lot of seniors. Well, we had some guys go down early with injuries, and we've played a lot of young guys that have gotten some valuable experience, which will pay dividends for us in the future.
Last season, the defense was ranked number 3 against the pass in the nation. This year, though, the Leathernecks have fallen to 81st nationally. However, Coach Ward attributes part of the reason for a drop to the fact that already this season, teams have attempted 300 passes through 9 games. Last season, opponents attempted 297 passes in 12 games.
Teams right now, on average, are throwing the ball about 16 times more a game against us. They're attempting to run less, but now, they're averaging about 6 more snaps a game. And that's due in part to the fact that we've had kind of a revolving door in our secondary. We've had 4 different guys play our free safety position. We've had 3 different players play our strong safety position. We've rotated 7 corners throughout this season. And again, that's due to injury, and that's due to some things that are kind of out of our control. But we are getting guys that have valuable experience, and we've played some teams really, really tough. And with the exception of the Wisconsin game, we've been in every game in the second half, and we felt like we were in position to win these football games. And when you say, hey, you're up in the number 1 team in the country, by a score with 4 minutes left to go in the game, you got a chance to beat them. And then you come back and you play another squad who's another top 10 team in the country, and you're up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, and you just can't close it. I think we would have taken that a year ago, and we're not satisfied by any means, but we're our program is definitely moving forward.
This season, the Leathernecks have played against 2 FBS teams and 5 straight ranked teams in the FCS, 3 of which were ranked in the top 10 when facing them.
When you play a non-conference schedule and an early conference schedule the way we did, with all those ranked opponents and 2 Big Ten teams that are looking like they're going to finish with winning records and possibly be bowl teams, that wears on your football team. And we talked about some injuries and guys that have been not healthy and that have affected our starting lineup defensively. Part of that plays into that schedule. I mean, there's really no off week in that schedule, and so this having the bye week at this point right now is really going to help us get our legs back underneath us. From a defensive standpoint, it's going to there's going to be a lot of self-scouting, self-evaluation, see what we're doing well, see what we need to get better at. See if we need to implement anything more or take out anything, to help us close these last 3 weeks the way we want.
Coach, how would you grade the defense so far?
Well, we've had some games where we've played very well. We've had some games that we haven't played as well, and we've been a little inconsistent. I think part of that has been some of the injuries that have occurred on the defensive side. We've had a number of injuries in the secondary, which has caused us to use a lot of different rotations there. And if there's one area that we feel like we haven't been very good, it's been on third downs, particularly third and off schedule situations, something that we're really good at last year and not as good this year. So you look at the yardage differential, it's because we've allowed teams to keep drives alive on a more regular basis than we did a year ago.
How have you seen some players step up for the injured guys?
Well, our leaders on defense, the linebacker group with Kinsel and Venegoni and J.J. Raffleson, those guys are solid performers. The secondary guys, losing a senior like Dallas Nichols, who was the one highly experienced guy that we've lost, and as a result, we've had to move around some guys, the David McDaniels, the Jonathan Rollins, and play some younger guys. They're Aaron Diggs and David Griffith, who both will have great futures in our program. But anytime you're making those kinds of changes, it impacts your rotations as we go from our base defense to nickel defense, and the week off hopefully will allow us to solidify some of those rotations.
One of the players that you mentioned, Coach, J.J. Raffleson, he was a captain for WIU, is a captain for WIU. Raffleson in his career has gone through 7 surgeries on his elbow, and in the 26th game the linebacker has been able to play, he's accumulated 227 tackles and 10.5 tackles for a loss.
My experience has definitely gone from highs and lows, as a lot of people have known. I've had some, a lot of injuries I've gone through. Going to 7 elbow surgeries I've had my appendix removed, all in the 4 years I've played here. But overall, definitely a great experience. I wouldn't change it for a thing. I met, my fiance here, met some great friends who are going to be in my wedding, going to be, talking to them the rest of my life. Coaches that, really have influenced me to become a better person, a better football player, a better man. And I think my experience here has been outstanding. I mean, I've fought through a lot of things, but that's what life's about. You got to fight and keep battling. So I'd say it's been good.
J.J. Raffleson first encountered his elbow injury in his junior year of high school.
Junior year in high school, I dislocated my elbow pretty bad. I was out of its socket for a while. They actually got to put it back intact on the field. It took them a little while, but there was actually a surgeon there at that playoff game, away game, so he was able to do it, and they said it healed pretty well.
After that injury, Raffleson had another similar occurrence his senior year, but for the most part remained healthy until the spring of 2012, his redshirt freshman year. While lifting weights during the offseason, the linebacker would hear a pop in his elbow and later on found out that he had torn his UCL. Raffleson held off the surgery until after the season so he could play the year. Once returning, Again, JJ would re-injure the elbow, but this time he was able to return in just about 6 weeks after surgery to play against Minnesota. Still playing with a lot of discomfort though, Raffleson would reach the peak of his pain in Youngstown, Ohio.
Where I wake up not feeling well as the day goes on, you get towards the game, like a 4 o'clock game, I'm out there, I'm like, oh, I don't feel good, I have a sharp pain in my stomach, I can barely run, barely lift my leg. I play about 2.5 quarters and start throwing up blood, and I'm throwing up all over the field, all over in the locker room at halftime, and they took me out and I almost ruptured my appendix, so I had that removed in Ohio. Oh yeah, then I had a week after that, or a week or two after I had my appendix removed, I had my other elbow surgery. So then that took me about another 4 or 5 months to recover that second nerve surgery I had, and then I actually felt probably the best I felt after that one. Play the first game, I feel great. Second game, just take a wrong fall, guy falls on top of me, I feel my elbow kind of snap a little bit, make a pop. I ended up tearing my UCL again, and my nerve was just all messed up, and they think it could be from me tearing that again. About Illinois State was the week I found that I had only a couple more weeks left, that they said you really shouldn't be playing anymore because you could do lifelong damage. It could happen, you don't know. Friday, Coach Ward told everybody, on the defense, has said this could be his last game. It probably should be after all he's gone through. You just need a battle, not just for him, but for our team and whatnot.
First, it's just heartbreak because I know how much he puts into it, and I bet even when we were being like off season, we'd work out with each other, and it's just one of those things that you don't really think of at the time. And the fact that he come up and told me, he said, this is gonna be my last game. It's just one of those things that just you give your heartbreak because that's your brother.
I mean, it's a sad thing, especially with JJ, because he helps lead this defense so much. It's kind of like a crutch for me on the field as well. We do everything 50-50 on the defense. So hearing that was his last game playing with me, it hit me hard, and I knew I had to give everything I could because he's done the same thing for me.
And then just that heartbreaking loss that we had versus Illinois State, I was like, I can't go out like that in the last second field goal. So I somehow convinced them to let me play one more, and I didn't practice all week or whatnot, but I suited up for that game, and I definitely gave it my all. It hurt a lot, but it was worth it just to go out there one more time and be able to play with all those guys.
He's been an inspiration for a lot of people, including myself, as long as the rest of the coaching staff. He's what you want. He's really what you want to coach. He's one of the big reasons why you get into coaching, is to coach people like that, and not just because of his performance, but because of the person that he is. He embodies everything you want, in a college student athlete.
I would describe him as a warrior. The stuff that he's done and just been through with his elbow, I told him, I was like, man, after the third one, I might have been done, and he's going on 5 or 6, so it's definitely a crazy thing to think about as well. And you'll be watching him play, and he'll just get up and he'll literally just grab someone. He'll pick himself up with his left arm and not even use his right. So, that's crazy. I always look at that, and I'm always like, oh man, I hope he's okay. I always talk to him after the game because we're roommates, obviously, and I'm like, how you feeling? He goes, I'm hurting, and I was like, I don't know how you doing, man.
Oh, he's one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet. I know when I first met him, all his tattoos were kind of intimidating and all that, but he's another great guy at heart. He loves kids. He's a big family guy. As you saw, he got married in the first game. He's a big family guy, and he loves the community that he lives in.
He's just been an absolute warrior. He hasn't practiced, very much, since early in the season. But yet, he's a guy that just wants to be out there on Saturday, and when he goes out there, it's like he hasn't missed a beat.
The amount of pain and suffering he endured would take a toll on anyone. However, for Raffleson, it didn't matter. The motivation inside him to keep fighting was far greater than to give up.
It's just the love of the game that just brings you back, no matter what the situation is. It's tough, knowing that this could be the last for me. As I talk to my surgeons, and they say, we could try to get you back. It's just, we don't know if it's the smartest decision to make after having 7 elbow surgeries. That's unheard of. I've been cut open. I couldn't tell you 13 times maybe in both arms, with one in my left arm and probably about 12 different incisions in my right arm. So, I'm cut up all over, scar tissue buildup. I have tendonitis. I have carpal tunnel in my wrist. I've had some stuff taken out there. It's just, a lot of things have gone on, but ultimately I'm young, so I feel like I can heal better. And I just want to come back and play more than anything in the world. But really, it's just the love of the game. Ultimately, is what it comes down to. Is you love the game, then you're going to keep playing it until physically someone grabs you and pulls you out and says you can't do it no more.
Seeing their teammate give it his all provided a lesson for both Trenton Norvell and Kevin Kinsel when it came to football.
Just to play every game like it's your last, you never know when it's going to be over.
Playing with heart. I mean, he's played with the most heart I've ever been around. He's exceptionally talented, but what makes him even better is how much heart he plays for and the effort he puts forth on the field.
Despite everything that J.J. Raffleson has gone through, no matter how small it may be, there's a chance the captain makes a return to football.
There's a good chance that was the last game of my life. I'm not going to say no that I'm not going to come back, but I'm not going to say yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you which way I'm leaning right now. Right now, I'm leaning as I'm done, because I just had surgery. It's gonna be a long recovery. I don't want to have any more surgeries. I'd probably, if I had another surgery, I'd be really, really down in the dumps. I mean, I already am, but I can only have so much more. They said until they can't go in again, because they'll lose all blood flow to my elbow, and then I will lose all feeling. Just knowing if I could take one more hit and then I'm done, I could lose all feeling the rest of my life. That's really nervous. It makes me really nervous. So I'd probably say I'm leaning more towards right now, probably being done. If I am done though, I don't think I'm going to rule out football. I think I might come back and be a GA and help coach, maybe get my master's degree then, something like that. But I'm going to be optimistic with it. If I somehow heal within 7 months, 8 months, and I'm better than I've ever been in my life, there could be a chance.
Coach, how would you describe J.J. Raffleson?
Well, he's a great young man, first of all, and a really good football player. And this year played with a lot of pain through the course of these first 9 weeks. Probably the last 2 weeks he honestly shouldn't have been playing, and he was going to miss the rest of the year. We're going to miss him not just because of his playing ability, but because of the leadership that he provided on defense and the fact that he was one of a couple players on our defense that was a vocal leader in terms of making sure everybody was lined up and executing proper techniques. And the bye week has given us a chance to get replacements and ready to take his position against South Dakota.
What kind of impact has JJ had on the program?
Well, he's been a big part of our defense's success, and the defense really has been, even in the year prior to my coming here, the team really struggled offensively, but the defense played well and kept them in some football games. So last year, our defense was one of the leaders in the conference, and again, we didn't win a lot of football games, but we've got ourselves to be more competitive. Now we've got a little bit better balance and still looking to accumulate the number of wins that we want to, but at the same time, the leadership on defense has put us in positions where we can be competitive and in positions where we can win.
What's your favorite thing about JJ?
Well, he's just kind of a matter-of-fact guy. He's not a real emotional guy. He plays with great passion, without all of the excess celebration, that you see so much in football today. And it's nice to have those kinds of even-keeled type of personalities in your leadership.
All right, we're now going to take another quick break, but stay tuned as we have the 2-minute drill coming up next. This is the Pigskin Preview. Welcome back. We are now joined by senior defensive lineman Gino Durley for the 2-minute drill. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be back.
Now, for those new to the show, each week we here at the Pigskin Preview will have a guest on and ask them as many questions as possible in 2 minutes. With that, Gino, are you ready?
Sure.
All right, this season, you're a senior now. How have you kind of stepped up as a leader?
By my play, stepping up my level of play, working on the small things, being more technical in my assignments, and just trying to get the young guys to understand the importance of every game.
Being here since 2010 seems like a long time ago, I'm sure. How have you seen the program rise from 2011 now to 2014 when you're winning more games and then you're also in a lot more games?
Well, the program is a lot more consistent. Coach Nielsen has done a good job of getting the guys to buy in. The direction the program is going in is a pretty great direction, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
What's your favorite conference team to travel to?
My favorite conference team to travel to has to be Youngstown State.
Why?
I get a chance to play in front of some family members. Good environment, great environment. This year, actually, they were ranked in the top 10. We got a big win there this year. First time winning since 2008, I believe.
2003, first time in
2003.
Youngstown,
Right.
2003.
Right.
What was that your favorite win that you've ever had as a Leatherneck?
No, all wins to me are my favorite, simply because no one likes losing. But the most important thing and the objective of the game of football is to win, obviously. So.
I know your real favorite part is the Chick-fil-A after the game, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
We don't get that around here. What's the most unusual mascot in the conference?
The most unusual mascot in the conference is the Jackrabbit.
Jackrabbits?
Yeah, the Jackrabbit.
Is there a least favorite team, maybe the most rival to you that you have?
Has to be Illinois State.
Illinois State.
Has to be Illinois State, yes.
And then what's your favorite NFL team?
Detroit Lions. Being from Detroit, hometown guy, hometown team, I'm a fan.
How would you grade their performance so far?
They've been playing pretty well, had a few nail biters, but they're sitting at the top of the conference right now.
How far do you think they can go?
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. All right, that's all the time we have for you on this week's 2-minute drill. We're going to take one last break, but stay tuned as up next, Coach and I will take a look at the Missouri Valley Conference and then preview the game against South Dakota. This is the Pigskin Preview. Welcome back to the Pigskin Preview. Now it's time to take a look at the other Missouri Valley football teams in action this past weekend. Indiana State squeezed out a close one over Missouri State with a 20-18 win after using a trick play. Illinois State threw a pick six at the end of the game to seal the deal for Northern Iowa's victory of 42-28. North Dakota State wins by 20 over South Dakota State with a score of 37-17. South Dakota lost at Youngstown State 28-17. And then, of course, Western Illinois and Southern Illinois both had bye weeks. Taking a look at the standings, North Dakota State at the top is the only undefeated team, 5-0. Illinois State and Youngstown State both at 4-1 marks. Indiana State and Northern Iowa at 3-2. South Dakota State, Southern Illinois at 2-3. Missouri State and Western Illinois at 1-4, and then South Dakota at 0-5. The games this weekend: Southern Illinois will travel to Missouri State. Illinois State will host Youngstown State. North Dakota State will travel to the Unidome to face Northern Iowa. Indiana State will host South Dakota State. And then, of course, this weekend, the Fighting Leathernecks will take on the South Dakota Coyotes. Currently, the Coyotes are riding a 5-game losing streak. This past weekend, South Dakota lost to Youngstown State by a score of 28-17. Going into the fourth quarter, South Dakota was winning by 7, but the Penguins would rally by scoring 21 straight points to win the game. Coach, the Coyotes have struggled putting up points offensively. What have you seen from this offense?
Well, I think they're a team that's getting better. They missed the first half of the season without their starting quarterback, who got hurt in their opening game against Oregon. He's back and healthy now, and they moved the ball much better against Youngstown, particularly in the first half of that football game, and had some scoring opportunities and got the lead in that game. They have a very talented running back who had over 100 yards rushing against Youngstown as well. So they're balanced in their attack, and balanced attack teams are the most difficult teams to defend.
Defensively, South Dakota is led by Tyson Graham, who has 81 tackles already. However, this season, the defense as a whole, coach, is allowing 33 points per game. What is some insider information you can tell us?
Well, they've played a very difficult schedule, and they've played some really good offensive football teams, both in our league and also in the non-league schedule, including Oregon, who scores a lot of points against everybody that they play. And I think the thing, as you watch their defense, they play a very aggressive style of defense, and and the kind of defense that will present some opportunities for us to make some big plays if we can capitalize on it. And so it's a combination of being consistent with our execution and at the same time taking advantage and hopefully capitalizing and making some big plays through the course of the day.
This weekend they'll play in the Dakota Dome. Is there any kind of thing that you've been getting the players ready for playing in a dome?
Noise can be an issue. Sound echoes a little bit differently indoors. I mean, we've played in some very loud environments. Camp Randall Stadium is probably as loud an environment as you can play in as a college football team, and we were able to handle the noise there. The surroundings are a little bit different just in terms of fielding kicks and punts, and that's one of the reasons why we don't always do this, but we will go up and do a little bit of a walkthrough in the facility on Friday as a result of it being our first and only indoor game of the year.
All right, the game will be this weekend at the Dakota Dome in South Dakota, starting at 4 p.m. That's all the time we have for you on this week's show. For Coach Nielsen, I'm Andrew Bacon. Thanks for watching.